without further ado, Tim Jackson. Thank you. Welcome to the show, Tim.
It was for me, yeah. I was a 17-year-old kid from, the suburbs in Rhode Island. You just think you can't go on anymore, and you hit a point where you're kind of at peace with everything, and you're like, yeah, it's going to be all right.
It is going to be all right. Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It's me. It's Mike Lepre, King Miguel. This is Legit Paranormal. It's January 23rd. So it's actually 01232022. You math geeks must be having like your Mardi Gras today. Joining me as always, Genius Kev. What's up, Kev?
Hey, what's going on, King? Good to talk to you this evening. Very sad about the passing of Tim. Obviously, a great guy. I was on the show a couple times. Love that show where he took us through the whole Armory. So just wanted to send my condolences there, and you will be missed from my perspective.
I feel like I gotta stop liking people. It's like whoever I like seems to be passing away. Like Norm Macdonald, my mom, Tim goes. It's like, geez, Louise. Like I'm gonna just stop disliking people, and they'll live a long time. Maybe not. Hey, Genius, I got rid of the mustache, the mustache on my face.
I know. I got it. I like it trimmed up a little cleaner. I like the short sides.
It came down to food. Came down to food, Kev. It was too much food. Joining me as always, Buddy Thayer with his beer of the week. Buddy, how are you?
Oh, good evening, gentlemen. I believe it or not, I was not going to drink a beer this evening because I am currently still. I'm about day 7 of the coronavirus, which I did get my vaccination, so it hasn't been absolutely terrible, but
good. All right.
Still, nonetheless, been missing some valuable time out of work, and just kind of quarantining myself down here. Thank God there's like great football on TV. There's been amazing games. Tom Brady lost the one that was great. The 2 games yesterday. I'm hoping for Buffalo today. It's just been kind of a good weekend. But my beer of the evening, my beer of the week. I'm drinking a beer tonight. It's called Memory of Smoke. It was one I had left in the fridge. I only got one of them. I was going to have it about a month ago, and I didn't end up having it. It's a collaboration between 2 of my favorite breweries, Proclamation and Tilted Barn. It's a lovely Czech Pilsner dark lager. It's a lager. It's not an IPA. And Memory of Smoke, like my man Tim Jackson. That was a beautiful tribute that you put together in the intro of the show, Mike. We really appreciate it. I'm sure Tim and his family really appreciate it. And just my heartfelt sympathies. Tim Jackson's been a really good person in my life. Had some really great things to say. Great support around me around the time my wife passed away. And he went from being like an acquaintance to a close friend overnight. So Tim Jackson of Armory. Cheers, brother. Rest in peace.
To him. Listen, here's the thing about Tim, right? Me and the Genius don't get along with everybody, right? It's just how we roll. However, right. Tim knew what he was talking about, and there's nothing I respect more. There's somebody that knows what they're talking about when they're talking about it. And I speak for Kev. He feels exactly the same way, right, Kev?
Yeah, he was great. I love listening to him go on about different things, and you could kind of just ask him about anything that he would like, anything in the museum, like when he would do the we came on the show and you'd point out something in the background and he'd be able to talk about it. That was awesome. Yeah, definitely a lot of respect.
He's a wealth of information. His tours are always impeccable. Second, maybe only to Patrick, but it was a close second. And he had a passion about history and a passion for preserving history, and he had a passion for friendships. He had a passion for Ocean State Paranormal and what we did. So
that sample I got, buddy, was of him talking about, like, we were talking about trapped like spirits or whatnot, and whatever it was, and he basically said that they need to know that it's whatever, it's okay, like they can move on. Like, I'm like, that's the perfect thing to sample. Like, he just said it right there. Like, I'm so glad that he thought that, because now I feel better for where he is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Either way, either or, 6 on one hand, Kev, half a dozen on the other. I don't know what it is. Introduce the guest there, buddy. You ready?
All right. Joining us this evening, another ghosty type person. Brian is a psychic medium. He's a tarot card reader, an oracle card reader, which I'm not sure what oracle card reading is, but I'm sure we'll find out this evening. He's a paranormal investigator, and he works with me at Bridgewater State Hospital. Brian Dansereau from lovely Massachusetts.
Hello, everyone.
What's up,
Hey,
Brian?
Welcome to the
How's
show.
we're doing tonight?
We're doing good.
You know.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry to hear about your loss. From everything I've heard, he was a wonderful, wonderful guy.
Amazing.
And as I said, you can never replace the person, but you'll always have their memory and their energy.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
and you know what?
sure.
If there's one guy that's going to be attached to that Armory, like, because he kept talking about how, you know, spirits get attached to like what they really love or what they're really attached to, or what make a certain moment that's really intense. They get like imprinted on it. He is 100% buddy going to be within those halls, busting your
In the
chop.
World War room,
making
for
stuff
sure,
move.
with machine
Yeah.
guns were, for sure.
Yeah, he's going to be there. He has to be. Kevin,
I know that I heard that he had sent Patrick a message in the last few days where things weren't looking so good. He's like, hey, if things don't work out, he's like, I'll be in the World Wars room. So
Yeah, I read that. I was kind of cracking up. It's obviously a good way to look at it.
That's it, man.
So Brian, tell
Yes.
me something. How long have you been involved in something like this? Was it when did it start that you thought maybe I there's something about me that I could do this? Was it in the family?
That's a great question. And it was in the family. I started with all of this when I was really young, just around turning 9, 10 years old, with seeing things, hearing things, and wondering, at that point in time, it's normal. And when I would talk about it to other people, like my sister, she got it because she actually has it. But other people would think I'm crazy, I'm behavioral, and a lot of other things like that.
Well, that's a tough age. That's a tough age, 19. Right around 19, Kevin and I started doing drugs and drinking and stuff.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
seeing
this one I was
stuff,
9 to 10 years old. And I was 10 when my grandmother took me aside and qualified what I was actually experiencing, and then sat me down and taught me how to read tarot using a regular deck of cards, playing cards. And at that stage of the game, I sort of knew that, okay, I'm not crazy. This is something that I can do. And as I progressed in my practice, as well as in understanding it, I had a much better grasp as to exactly what I do, who I am, and that sort of thing.
That's amazing to find that out. You know what I mean? Like, and to find out that early, to wrap your head around it. You know what I mean? Like, that in itself is a feat, right, Kev?
Yeah, but Brian, you mentioned your sister, your grandmother, your mother. Do you have any other siblings? Like
I
besides your
do. I have a couple of brothers, and they never really either got it or acknowledged it. And a big portion of this is acknowledging and then learning to work with it. Like, we call it our third eye, which is right up here. And we use that in a lot of different ways. But like any other muscle, any other skill, if you don't continually work with it, and that's my cockatoo, if you don't continually work with it and such, it sort of turns around and goes away, goes dormant, if you will.
Well, that makes sense.
It's pretty cool, Brian. I found it in other mediums. I find it in my own family. Some say yes, some say no. Do you find that? Obviously, you must find it if it's in your own family, that it's maybe based on hereditary, based on the genes, that it's passed along via DNA. This gift, this ability, whether it be empathic or to see or to hear or any of the clairvoyances.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was definitely on my father's side. My dad did it, could do it. My sister and my grandma are the three in my family that really stick out. My mom didn't really have any part of that, actually. Neither did my brothers, if you will. But certainly my dad did. He had his own setup and ways of doing it and such.
Brian, Does that bird
Yes.
make that noise? Does that bird make that noise during the day? Like just while you're just hanging out? Because I'm trying to picture
Usually she's
trying to
good,
picture
but
you have a cup of tea and the bird just
no,
it would
usually
freak
she's
me out every
great,
time I
but-
heard it.
Literally, I just got back from New York about 10 minutes ago now, so she hasn't seen me in 24 hours. So it's like, Daddy, you haven't even given me a hug yet. What the heck?
But I mean, is that a constant noise that like if you own that pet, it's gonna make that noise all day?
Oh, yeah, that's what they do. It's like having a crow or any other bird like that, where that's how they express themselves. And she communicates. Like, she does say words. Like right now, she's saying Dad, but she does say words, and she does tell me what she wants to eat. And they're really intuitive, but really, really intelligent.
Of course.
Yeah,
It's-
I'm
You
just
teach
I'm
a bird how
gonna
to
be
speak,
honest.
you know?
That's like having Fran Drescher in your house. Just and every 5 minutes she's calling your name, and it's just like, all right, already with that. All right, I get it. I get a dog that barks, but I mean, you know, it's just a bark.
And that's
Deep
her.
bark.
That's her quiet yell. She actually makes a yell that you can hear about 1.5 miles away when she really gets upset about something. So luckily, she doesn't do that very often because it's ear splitting.
That's not a good. That's not a good thing, Kev. Not a good thing. So, all right, Brian. So, what did you start to see? What started to happen to you? What? Because here's how I've always pictured the paranormal world is, and it's been explained this way to us a couple times as like a veil, like kind of like a rip in what's going on right now, and sometimes from other whatever gets in and crosses over, stuff like that. That's how I kind of see
Right.
it. All right, so
And with each person, it's a bit different. So some people, and it has happened to me, well, I'll actually see people or I'll see figures. And that does actually happen quite a lot. Like I was just literally at the Mid-Orange potential correctional facility in Sugarloaf, New York. And there were a ton of shadow figures that were able to interact that I was able to see. Other times, it's simply just words that pop up randomly or images that will pop up randomly. So each time it's very much different. Yeah. She wanted the toy. But
Kev.
it's very much different each time. It definitely is.
Kev, don't you picture a 6-foot bird? Like, she wants a toy. The bird's like,
That's about her ego. That's absolutely true.
I'm waiting to see the toy come back. Just throw him back and like hit him in the side of the head.
She literally just threw it on the floor across the room at the cat.
Oh my god!
I'll be right back.
No, that's fine.
Oh, that's fine, man.
This is one of these pets you can't. Obviously, you can't leave it alone. He can never travel again. Obviously.
There
Yeah.
she is.
Look
Oh,
at
there
that.
you go.
Look at
Now
that
she's
thing.
happy.
There we go. All right.
Right? See, I can't fit my dog on my shoulder. You know what I mean?
Right.
It would never work. It would look really stupid, but that looks good. All right. So, wait. Now, see, here's what you saw figures. Let's talk about that. Figures, just shapes, right? Shadow figures. That's what we mean by when we say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, shadow figures, mist, sometimes even orbs, but mostly shadow figures is what presents to me. Especially when I'm doing investigations or even when I go to graveyards. I'm a witch. I spend a lot of time in graveyards. So even when I go to graveyards and such, I'll be able to see them and I'll be able to communicate. And most of the time, they don't want to be anywhere but where they are. And we talk a lot about hauntings, and absolutely there's hauntings, but the veil is always around us. So at any given time, someone can reach through and you can have spirit communication, whether you be in a haunted house, a graveyard, or at a Walmart. You know, you can actually have it anywhere.
So whether you're looking for it or not, it just kind of shows up sometimes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It better not
Brian-
happen at Walmart. Come on now, Walmart.
So Brian,
I wait. I went to Walmart, and this is a true story. I've told this a couple times. And so I try to, as you're going to Walmart, you're like, should I just walk the main aisles, or should I just cut through the clothes and get to where I gotta go? You know what I mean? So I'm like, gonna cut through, get to the electronics faster. Cut through, and there's a baby in a diaper on the ground. And I stopped and I thought, there's a baby on the ground in a diaper. No mom. I don't see a mom. And I thought, wow, what do I do with a baby on the? And then the mom came around the corner, was like, oh, as if the baby got away. Kid couldn't move. Kid couldn't move. Kid was a little kid in a diaper. He didn't run away. He didn't just jump up off the lady, run. She came over and picked him up. I was like, wow. Like, I just saw a baby on the ground. That's like, you gotta go back to the 70s.
Left the baby on the ground at Walmart.
Yeah, you go back to the 70s for that crap to happen. That's a true story. But anyways, go ahead, Kev.
So Brian, we had a guest on last week that was also does a lot of investigating in graveyards, and one of the things we talked to him about was kind of the why of why spirits would be in graveyards, because we've kind of always looked at it, and we've had a lot of guests over the year say that kind of spirits will go to places where they have some kind of an attachment. And we were joking about Tim going to the Armory, but why would it sounds obvious, sounds like a scary place, a graveyard, but why would spirits, shadow figures attach themselves to a graveyard? Like, what's your theory?
And there's a lot of opinions and a lot of theories on that as well. A big portion of it is it's consecrated ground. And not to even be funny, but it's very fucking quiet, you know, and they love it. Like, if you've gone on ghost hunts and if you've gone out with a group of people, the louder the people are, the more I will give you a pack of cigarettes if you turn this light on for me type of nonsense that happens, the less activity you see. However, when you quiet yourself and you sit down and you allow yourself to focus and concentrate, things come through, people come through, noises are heard, you get EVP, you'll get communication. Same theory for me anyway, is what happens at graveyards. It's peaceful, it's consecrated, it's a place where spirits pass, spirits come, spirits see loved ones. So they do hang out, not all of them all the time, of course. Some come through because I'm a light inside that area, so they're attracted to me and they'll communicate with me. And others are there because I believe personally, a family and family showing up and family being there and conversing with them.
Mm-hmm. See, I think what Kev's trying to say, and I'll speak for Kev again, is that the idea that the souls stay in a cemetery as opposed to the souls going out in the town. Like, in other words, if I was dead and Kev was dead and Buddy was dead, we'd pop up out of the grave and be like, let's go do something. Like, we wouldn't hang out in the cemetery. Like, you know, that's right. Kev, that's what you're trying to say, right? Like, why would you be attached to where you're dead? Like, why hang out there? Why not go hang out someplace else that you used to work at, you know, the burger joint, whatever you used to do, you know, no judging.
And that's the thing. I don't think that it's every person that's actually buried in the cemetery that might be there. But I do believe because it's a special place, people can cross over from the veil, sort of like visitors.
All right.
Like the Conjuring House. The Conjuring House I've been at is really, really active. Now, I don't believe it's specifically the house. It's absolutely, in my opinion, the land. I've talked to other neighbors around that house. They have a lot of activity as well, equally so in their yards. But the Conjuring House is the one that got all the PR, the movie. So it's all about that one house. But really, it's that whole area.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole area, everybody's in agreement that it's like haunted up, like just maxed up. Is that what it is?
My opinion. But they had battles there with the King Richard's War. They had a lot of trauma there. So there's been a lot of energy that excited the area. Now, when I was at the house, there was so many different entities, if you will, or beings, if you will, that would come through. Some would stay, but a lot of times it was like a spiritual Grand Central Station. They'd stop in, they would check on what you're doing, they would communicate, they'd be gone. I had like maybe 3 that I knew of that were there constantly the whole time I was there, versus others that would just stop in and drop off a message or do something and then head out.
Wow, all right.
But I think a lot of this too is opinion, because we don't have scientific fact. We can take an EVP and say, here, this is what we captured. But the whole premise of the theory behind why they stay at certain areas or when are they at a certain area, I think a lot of that is just theory and conjecture, and that's my opinion of it anyway.
Yeah, but I honestly quit. Everything is theory and conjecture. I mean, like we
True.
could talk about absolutely golf if you want to right now, and it's all theory and conjecture. It's just But it's some things ring true. I think that's what I go with. That just some things
Exactly.
ring true.
Yeah.
And one of the things I got involved with what I do, and one of the reasons why I try to do what I do is to enlighten people, to give them a little bit of an education, if you will, and mostly to really reinforce respect for what we do, respect for the spirit realm, and respect for when you're dealing with circumstances. If you go into a haunting or you go into a house that might have a lot of activity, because I personally don't even like the word haunting. I rather use it as an active spot, activity, that sort of thing. Haunting to me is just one of those things that's a Hollywood term.
So, okay. So this is interesting. So kind of the perspective is some areas might be more active, might be the veil might be thinner, and then you have this gift that you're more attuned to communicating with spirits and seeing things and everything. So maybe you go somewhere that's active where the veil is thinner, and they notice that you are there and try to come through you. Is that kind of how?
Exactly. And that's how it works for a lot of us, because from the veil side of things, I always try to explain to people that we look as odd to them through the veil as they do to us with our experiences. So when you get someone that's a little bit more sensitive, and I don't like the word medium myself, I do use it, but I don't advertise it because some people come through, some people don't want to come through. So you can't call in Grandma Jones and have her come give a message about where she hit the will. It doesn't work that way. It might happen that way, but you can't guarantee it. However, from the veil standpoint, I think sensitive people like I are sort of like a light on in the window, and they see that light and they're like, yo, I want to go over and interact or see or pass or just see what's over there or talk to that person. And that tends to be how I experience it.
Yep.
Brian, let me ask you something. I've noticed in my own life, I started doing Reiki probably like 2 months ago steadily. I got to do it again this month. I want to try to do it once a month. They say it opens you up a little bit, makes you more aware of things. I always had a strong sense about energy. I always felt stuff. Then I would see shadows, like you say. Up until the last Reiki session, right afterwards, I saw a figure. I saw a man, and I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't on a ghost hunt. I was at my aunt's house, and I was able to actually go back and trace the history of the house and the people that lived there. And the guy that lived in the house the majority of the time, his draft card was like a perfect match for the guy that I stood standing in front of me. Do you feel that Reiki? Do you feel like energy work like Reiki or Qigong? It opens us up more. It makes us more attuned to pick up on the paranormal.
My opinion is yes, and the reason being, we're energy wrapped up in a decaying meat suit. This suit, everything we have, has an expiration date on it. Our energy doesn't. When we pass, we go back into the universe. You can call it heaven, you can call it the spirit realm. I call it the universe, a part of the all. When we work on our own energy and we align ourselves, whether it be through Reiki, whether it be through meditation, all the spiritual type of exercises that we do, that allows us to actually open up. And for you, buddy, you hit the nail on the head, because when you're doing it, when you're least expecting it, that's when you're actually using your subconscious, which is your spiritual side. That little voice inside you that you guys have all experienced with, I shouldn't do this, but the conscious mind, the masculine side says, I'm going to do it anyway. And then everything gets real and like, oh, I really shouldn't have done that. It's that same subconscious observatory, if you will, that when you're really not look for something, you'll actually see it. It'll present itself to you because your subconscious mind is open and your conscious mind is quiet, not trying to be that critical filter. Like, there's no way I'm going to see someone inside my aunt's house. There's no way I'm going to see an actual person, an actual face that I can actually identify through an ID.
Crazy.
Wow. All right. So Brian, do you want to give it a try here? We've never done any kind of a card reading over the streaming show, but if you want to give it a try, I'd be more than willing to
Absolutely.
be said.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do you have any questions you want answered?
Well, hold on. Before we jump into it, or maybe ask your questions first, but
Sure.
I'm honestly not that familiar with what one of these readings is and how it's supposed to work. So I don't know if you want to ask these questions first, but maybe you can kind of give a quick overview on the premise of the whole thing. I've never seen a reading done. I've never had a reading done, and maybe there's people watching that are in kind of the same boat.
All right. So you guys are in for a treat. So what a reading actually is, and to touch back on to Buddy's comment or question is the difference between an oracle card as well as a tarot card. So a tarot card was designed hundreds of years ago as a game, which was supposed to act upon life. When you have tarot, you have 78 cards. You have the major arcana, which marks major milestones in your life, things that you can't change, but things that you can adapt to and expect. And then you have the day-to-days, which is the minor arcana, with things that you can work on, things that you can have impact upon to change the path of an outcome of a situation. Now, I don't like the term, and most psychics or readers don't like the term fortune telling, because we're not so much telling the future or telling the fortune. What we are saying is, the energy that you have right now is telling us this. Now, if it's a specific question, the energy that you're bringing forward and the question you ask, this, if you stay on this path, will be the outcome or the potential outcome for it, which you always have empowerment to change. Now, when you look at the major arcana, one of the big stressor cards people think about with the major arcana is the Tower card, the Death card, the Devil card. Now, each one of those cards obviously doesn't show you things that are actual literal. You pull a Death card, could it mean literally death? Yeah. Does it usually? No. What that usually means is a form of transition. You're going through a change in your life right now. You're going through a metamorphosis, if you will. The Devil card is all about you're tying yourself up to a situation that's not serving your higher vibe. You can stay tied to that situation and always get what you always got from the old things that you always do, or release your binds from that and change the outcome of that situation, that sort of thing.
All right, so let's roll, Kev. Let's roll with this.
So when we do this, what we're doing is using your energy, and if you have a question, we work on answering that question based upon that energy, that sort of thing.
I honestly have no specific. By the way, that's the toughest word. People always say Pacific, like as in with a P, but I'm trying to say specific. I have no specific question.
Okay. And a lot of people don't. They just want to hear what we have to talk about at the beginning. So what I do is called intuitive tarot. And what that means is I put 3 cards down. We look at them together, and I just start talking about some of the things and some things that it may mean to you. She's getting excited about it. So let's put a couple of cards down, and let's see what we've got to look at for Mike. So, Mike, I'm going to cut the deck, and I'm going to cut the deck again.
All right.
Now, I'm going to cut the deck a 3rd time, and you pick which pile you want me to read from, the right pile or the left pile.
The one without the blue ring. This one on the right. Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to put 3 cards off the top on that. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that it might be going on right now with you. So when we look at the 3 cards, the first card that comes up is the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups is all about an inception of a new idea, a new game plan. For you, being that it's cups, is all about an emotional change. It's about something that really means something to you from the standpoint of feelings. It can be a new beginning with a relationship. It can be a new way that you're going to be looking at things going forward. When we look at the 6 of Swords, this card is all about you recently moving away from something that no longer served your vibe. It could be a relationship that's starting to wither away, but it can also be a situation that has caused you a lot of stress, a lot of turmoil, and you finally decided that, you know what, I've had enough of this, and I'm going to shift myself more towards quieter waters. I'm going to take the truths that I learned from this and the pain that I got from this experience, and I'm going to use that to my benefit, but I'm certainly not going to carry it with me as a weapon. And then when we look at the Dinosaurs, this card is all about nightmares. It's about headaches. It's about migraines. It's about sleepless, restless nights because of the situation that you're moving yourself away from. And it's all about you now coming to an end of that whole process of all that pain, of all of that angst that might have been going on, and getting yourself more into a situation that's going to be calming for you, that's going to release a lot of that nightmarish energy, if you will, that headache type energy, if you will. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it does. God damn it! Yes, it does. Moved away, moved out of our house. We just had to get away from. There's actually some people in my life that I get away from that I had to get away from. I've been having nightmares since last Tuesday. I actually had conversations with Kev and I think Buddy.
Yeah,
So if one of you guys told him I had nightmares, I'm going to kick the crap out of you. So yeah,
I can promise you I haven't talked to Buddy about any of this. I haven't even talked to Buddy about today. He hit me up saying, you're going to be on just a segment tonight to do a card reading. I purposely didn't respond back to him because I do it cold. I don't like playing like behind the scenes type of stuff because I want people to understand that this shit is real.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. But yeah.
So we literally just talked about that today, which is crazy.
It's like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And that's the energy that you're putting through. But what was most important is you picked the deck that you were going to use, which side deck you were going to use. And that's where your message actually was. And that's, if you will, the magic of it. The person that's reading with me will always pick what pile they're going to start from. That's where the messages lie for that person.
Do I look like I haven't slept? Is that what this is about? Is that what this is about?
No, you actually look pretty.
That good. Was that what this is? I'll get all you sons of bitches if I find out that's what this is about.
And I do get that a lot from the first reading because people are like, there's no way you could have. But the reality of it is, it's called intuitive tarot for a reason.
But then here's the thing, Brian. So I do it again right now. It's going to be completely different.
What's that?
If I got a second reading, like.
Oh, I'm not done with you. I'm putting 3 more cards down. I'm going to talk a little bit more.
Oh, my bad. Because I was going to tell you, I went to the feast at St. Anthony's, and I got a sausage and pepper. And then when I was done with the sausage and pepper, I went to the next place, and they had sausage and pepper. And it was like, I had to have both, and I had to do a taste test. And I was like, oh, this one's better. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. So
I put down 3 more cards for you. The first card is the card of the Fool. I'm sorry, the Hanged Man. Now, what the Hanged Man is telling me is that the limbo that you've been in is finally coming over. It's finally ending. One thing you do have to be aware of is the Queen of Wands. You are going to have some situations where you're going to be headbutting, and there's going to be a lot of dynamic communication going back and forth. So I'm not sure if you left a significant other, and that's where all this lies, but there's certainly a feminine energy that's going to be butting heads with you. The good news is things are going to work out to your benefit. With the 10 of Pentacles, it's all about your realm, your life, your personal life, your home life, and your health getting better, improving because of going through what you're going through right now, because you ended that limbo, because you're going to get through that head-butting type issue that we're talking about. You're going to be the better off because of it and for it. And you're going to move on to a much more comfortable area for yourself.
All right. I'm not headbutting right now, but I'll let you know if I do. Yeah, I don't want to headbutt with anybody. That would
no, but there's a potential out there. But the reality of it is, stand your ground. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. You know what you need to do. Be consistent with that message and make sure it's for your higher good, and it's going to work out to your benefit.
I do that to my Non-benefit, plenty of times. I stand my ground over the dumbest thing. So over something like that, I would definitely stand my ground, right or wrong.
Good.
Kev?
Yeah. So Brian, so are there any more cards, or is that it's a 6 and that's kind of where you stop for now?
That's it. Right now. Yeah.
So now here's my question on all this, and I've asked this to other people, so I'm kind of interested on your perspective. Like
Sure.
if I read some books and I went online, I could probably figure out what the 10 of Pentacles is and what the Hangman is and all those things. But I guess how do you that's probably simple. How do you figure out the interaction, like the interpretation? For me, the hardest part would be the interaction, because you went through 3 cards, and if you just picked one and I read it off Google, I could probably read it. But how do you get sort of how do you learn how to handle the interaction? I guess, and plus apply it to the specific person you're reading.
And that's the difference. Anyone can learn to read cards, and when you do learn to read cards, you're learning about the basic meaning of each card. Now, it's all about learning how to open up your intuitive side and using that intuitive nature. Some call it even spirit guides to help you guide along with the message that needs to be heard to the querent. And like I tell people when I start off every reading, I will tell you what you need to know, not necessarily what you want to know.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Like a bookie. So all right. So all right. The Nightmare one's the one that I think out of all the cards that I'm a little taken aback by, because that's not usually something you would guess. I mean, maybe the headaches, like you can guess someone. I'm not saying you guess. I'm just saying.
No, I know.
Someone were to guess, they could guess headaches, but nightmares is a little odd, because I quite honestly haven't had dreams in years. I don't dream anymore. I get to a point where I just stopped dreaming. They got and then since Tuesday of last week, maybe longer, it's been nightmares, like all night long. And then the worst part is every morning, this makes me sound insane, I wake up in terror. My first feeling when I wake up is fight or flight. Like I'm like jacked, like I'm like wide awake. Like I wake up as if like I get shot out of a cannon, and then my heart has to come down. I have to calm down. It's like terror. It's waking up in terror is what I call it, and they call it that. They call it something like that. But yeah, it's friggin' A. The nightmares are always connected to, like, see, it's not monsters. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about monsters. I'm not worried about cryptids coming to get me. It's always, for me, it's like you can't get to someone. Like my nightmares are always like, I gotta get home, or I gotta get here, and I can't get there. So like the whole night, it's just me. I mean, I've had nightmares where I'm doing math. I have to do this math problem so I can get someplace, and it's just numbers all night long, and it makes me sick, and my mind just spins on it. I'm sorry, I'm talking out of the way, Kev, but Brian, so it's weird that you pick nightmares. I'll be honest, it is weird, and I don't know if you believe in dreams or what you guys think about dreams mean, but I don't usually dream, and then all of a sudden, bang, I've been dreaming.
Exactly. Now, with the nightmare card, and that's where the intuitive aspect comes in. As you put the cards down and reading your energy, it's that's telling me the message that's popping in my head to say nightmares. When I'm putting cards down and I'm saying meanings, I'm coming up with things that are popping in my head, and it's my trust in what I'm seeing to speak it. And you always hope that it's going to make sense, because you never really know if it does. Like, I didn't know for sure you had nightmares, but I certainly knew that I had to tell you that you were having nightmares. Now, I put down another 3 cards as you were talking about it, and when you were talking about the nightmares, you started describing them, and the night came up, the Knight of Pentacles, which is about destinations that you're really taking a long time to get to, which brings up the nightmares of you trying to run to get somewhere, you're trying to reach out to someone, you're not able to do so. And a lot of times nightmares comes up because, and here's another card that came up for you, the Temperance Car, which is all about really getting yourself more balanced, getting yourself more grounded. With the situation that you moved away from, you were really unbalanced. You were ungrounded. You were getting yourself involved in not being able to maintain your own mental health, if you will. And that being said, it causes a sense of loss of control. That loss of control can interpret itself in nightmarish dreams where you're trying to reach and grab at to something, travel at something that you actually can't get to. This card is the last card that came up for you when we were talking about that. And this is the Knight of Wands. This is all about, take a goddamn knee. Stop, relax, think about things. You specifically, Mike, have to learn not to be a reactionary. You got to learn how to respond versus react. Every time in your life you've reacted, it blows up in your face. If you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. This is a good time for you to grind yourself out, learning to take a knee, learning how to respond to situations versus having that visceral, gut-wrenching reaction to situations.
Yeah, that's true. I usually don't have, but I don't have the time to like shut down the visceral feeling. Like, in other words, if it's that strong of a reaction, it's been I'm pretty old. I don't think I'm gonna change.
Well, you don't have to change, but one of the things that we always really reflect upon, I always bring up, like on my YouTube channel, is doing shadow work and just learning, like, what makes me respond that way and what makes me react that way. Like, for me, it used to be one of my big triggers was people chewing loudly. It would completely drive me nuts. And I started trying to calm that energy so I wouldn't get driven nuts by it and I wouldn't actually lose my own zen. And doing shadow work and learning some of the ins and outs of myself helped me to take that trigger and disarm it from me so that it's a learned thing. And the more you practice it, the easier it gets. But I get where you're coming from. And a lot of people tell me that. I was like, hey, I've always been doing this. This is what I do. I'm not going to change. And yeah, you won't change doing that. But if you choose to, you can, in fact, get yourself into a better situation with that, with responding versus reacting. And that's where the magic starts to happen for you, because you will change a lot of things in your life for the better just out of that one little behavioral change.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like and I'm going to speak for Kev and the rest of the Italians. We react. Like, it's just what we do. We react. I mean,
I get you.
I don't know how to explain that. I wish I didn't look, the best thing that's ever happened to me is like when I get into an argument and then I get like at least 30 minutes to calm down. Because then if I do calm down, I'm in perfect condition to have a discussion. But we live in an age where people, they talk to you in person as if they're talking to you on a computer, and they're quick and they're rude. And as Mike Tyson said, all these social media people forgot what it's like to get punched in the face. Like, so people talk like that in real person, and it's a respect thing sometimes. Going back to the paranormal, there is a deep respect with how you talk to another guy.
Absolutely,
Period.
I agree.
So when they go too far, and you tell them, hey, you just went too far, and then they go one more step. Sometimes it's like, you know what I mean? And then like an hour later now, it takes me. But, I get what you're saying. I agree that if I could change that, it'd be better. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you, it's a path. It's like anything else. It's one of those things where you have to work at it and you have to choose that you want to work at it. And if you do, great, because you'll see big changes. If you don't, like you said, you need that half hour to actually decompress before you can, and you hit the nail on the head. Argument versus discussion. Two very different animals. With a discussion, there's that ebb and flow and that two-way communication versus an argument with two people just banging their head against each other.
Yeah, and you know what it is? It's identifying your deficiencies. Like, if Kev could have dribbled, he would have been a pretty decent basketball player.
And that right there is the perfect analogy That literally is the perfect analogy for shadow work. It's learning about our own deficiencies. And most of it is learned behaviors. Like as a kid, we're not born and understanding what the hell stress is. However, we do learn the word stress from our family or immediate parents. And then we learn how our parents respond to stress. And that's what we do. And that's how we respond to stress. That's how we respond in family situations, because Italians are going to fight. They're going to get loud. I'm just using that as your example. But the reality of it is, if we recognize the learned behavior and we start disarming it, we start changing our own behaviors. And again, that's how you realize, hey, I suck at dribbling. Let me practice that a little bit.
No. Brian, type of war. I was good at dribbling. I actually played point guard. I'm saying Kev couldn't dribble. I want to make sure you understand that, because I don't want to get it confused. Kev.
Oh no, I understood it was Kev that couldn't dribble, not you.
All right.
You're a good dribbler.
Yeah. Just make sure, make sure the example stays true.
Yeah.
Buddy, what we got? Questions?
No, I'm fascinated by Brian's reading. How he yeah, I'm always skeptical about tarot readings. I'm not gonna lie. I've had one or two that were absolutely phenomenal. But growing up as a kid, I remember going to Rocky Point, and they'd have like the tarot card reader next to the dot game, and there was always some hokey woman with a rag on her head. She's like, "Oh, look into the crystal ball," and she's just stealing $50 from you, and she wasn't really doing anything. So I grew up always knowing just that.
Where was that?
Like I said, I had a tarot reading that completely changed my mind. I think it's all dependent upon the person that's giving it.
It literally is depending
How
upon the
serious
person.
they take it or not,
Where was this at Rocky Point? Where was this located? Dude, I went to Rocky Point all the time. Where was this
all the
located?
time, Mike. All right.
I just remember
Things that
Zoltar.
rolled. You know the things that rolled in the middle? They were like behind
Rock and
that,
roll
like
over. The rock and roll over. It's called the rock and roll over.
Same side as the haunted house, but just further down. I can
All
see
I
it in my
remember
head.
is Zoltar inside that machine where you put a quarter in, and Zoltar would give you a reading. I remember that as a kid. They're like, "Oh my gosh!"
That was the one. That was the one in the movie Big, right? The Zoltar machine.
Exactly. Yeah, it was in Big as well.
Yeah.
I remember the Rocky Point bathroom that had about an inch of water in it all the time. For no reason at all. You go in the bathroom, there's an inch of water. You're like, why is there a full inch of water in the whole bathroom? And I'm talking years I would go in a row. And I'd be like,
I hope that was water. I
was
really
water.
hope that was water.
Either way, there was an inch of it.
Like the river at Great Woods. That's not water, dude.
All right. So Brian, to try to get us out of the bathroom conversation. So now, here's a question I have about these kind of readings. Like, I'm naturally skeptical about a reading kind of over like in this format. Like right. You and Mike, we're not sitting in the same room. You're it's across the internet, like the whole thing. And to me, that seems like it would be another barrier to this. And I get the pandemic, and everyone kind of started doing it that way. But I guess what are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question to ask. Personally, I love doing in-person readings because I'm sharing time, space, and energy with that person right across the table from me. And it's a lot easier to get a real strong vibe from them. I do a lot of telephone readings since the pandemic. I average probably like 10 telephone readings a day. So you learn how to adapt your energy to be able to do that as well. And I do Zoom readings similar to this, which helps me to hone in on it a little bit more. But the one thing I do want to touch upon is, there are charlatans out there. There are people out there that really do this for a dishonest reason. And what I tell people is, if people are asking you or saying to you, you've got a dark force attached to you. If you want me to get rid of that dark force, I can. But yada, yada, yada. Or you've got a demon in your house. No, you don't. There's a lot of people that will do that to intimidate and to try to get more monetary gain out of it. Like, I can help you out with getting rid of that dark force. If you give me $150, I'll give you a spell kit with this string. And you'll hang it in your house, and boom, it's going to be gone. So you got to really be mindful of that with people. And I tell people, talk to me. If I vibe with you, sit down, I'll do a reading. If you don't like my vibe, you don't feel we vibe, let's not do this reading. I won't collect your money. And I've actually stopped readings because I didn't feel a vibe from that person. They were just sort of like being stoic and just staring at me and looking to see if I would make a mistake. And I'm like, I don't do this type of thing. So here's your money back. I want you to go have a wonderful life and find a reader that's going to entertain you, because I'm not here to entertain.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm sure the energy must be completely just blocked and messy and impossible.
Yeah, and you really can't bullshit a reader. Like, I can read people without my cards, but the cards allow me to give a visual aid. But certainly I can turn around and talk with someone and get a real strong sense about where they are emotionally, where they are right now in life. And that's the empathy in me. And give them words of suggestions that might help them along.
Yeah.
I get a suggestion. You should buy a small little necklace clock for your bird, because he's like your Flavor Flav. Whenever you say something in stop, he goes, right. Like,
you get that right.
He's like, what?
That's Coco Chanel. She's a little diva, and she loves being in cameras. So that's why she came over. But now she's over there. She wants me to get her a chicken bone so that she can go to bed with it. She loves chewing up chicken bones.
Kev, we all live lives that none of us would believe.
Oh yeah,
the other person's life. You know what I mean? I hope like he gives his bird chicken bones at night. I guarantee you don't do that, Kev, at your house.
I don't have a bird, so
that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
very awkward.
And that's the beauty of this human experience. Like, we are in this human realm, in this human experience, which is the most unnatural experience for a spiritual being to be in. But we adapt it to make it into our own magical space. And what's magic for me is chaos for somebody else. It's sort of like what's normal for the spider is chaos for the fly.
I like that. I don't think I've ever heard that before. So Brian, so you talked, and we don't have. I'm not expecting you to do like an oracle card reading. I'm just, what's the difference with those? Like, how do those work?
Well, the tarot card is like, hey, I'm going to dance around. I'm going to tell you some information. I'm going to let you know what you need to do. The oracle card is more direct, in your face. One card, hey, this is what you need to do. Now, I left my oracle cards actually in my office in Fall River at the new moon. So I would actually pull those out right now and demonstrate that for you. But both my decks are actually at the new moon. So I was doing readings there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday all afternoon.
And does it have the same kind of history? Is it like the oracle cards?
The oracle cards have a more recent history, not nearly as old as the tarot deck. And in the oracle card deck, there are hundreds of different styles decks on them. The ones that I use actually are crystal based. So it gives you a crystal that you can actually utilize and focus upon, or color, if you will, in just a one-word statement. As an example, it may say family. It may say past lives. And it doesn't necessarily mean past lives are coming towards you, but it just means you're going to look at where you've been right now compared to where you're going, because you may need to tweak a few things around, because you're basing, and this is something that you're doing, Mike, you're basing decisions on past experiences versus on what you actually really want.
Yeah, a little bit of that. I also noticed that well, this is going to sound really dumb. Is there a chance that certain colors, certain people just hate? Like I have like a disdain for certain colors. Like I just can't deal with certain colors. Certain colors I like. Then the biggest mystery with me is, and this is a fact, you can ask my wife, I am deathly afraid of the month of February. I have had everything that has gone wrong in my life happen in the month of February. I've broken almost every bone, car crash, flip a car, people get diagnosed, all kinds of stuff has happened to me in the month of February, to the point where I try to stay in the house. I try not to go do things. And it usually lasts until the Ides of March, about the 15th, and then I'm clear. But it's a fact. Like I'll hurt something, I'll break something will happen. I don't know why I'm afraid of a month, or why I have this fear, but it's grown every year. Even my wife believes in it. I've gotten pneumonia every time in February. It's just whatever. Why is that? Is that just all in my head? Probably, right? Because that's
No, I don't believe that at all, because some people have very specific colors that are triggers for them. It can be something that happened in this life, or it could be something that happened in previous lives. Same thing goes with numbers. Some people have favorite numbers. I love 3, I love 9, and I love 13. 13 is my lucky number. But I kind of think number 8's a dickhead, so I don't like 8. But months are the same way. If something happens to you in a previous life in that month that was really big for you, life-changing or life-ending, that's going to be a very sensitive month for you, and you're going to see a lot of synchronicities happen within that time frame. And that does happen with a lot of people. My personal month that I really don't like at all is March. I just hate March. I can't give you a strong reason why I hate March, but to me, March is like the number 8. It's just a dickhead. And I don't get along with it. And so I try to keep my energy at an even keel for that whole month. I won't do anything that's too adventurous, and I'm not going to do anything that's going to be putting all my eggs in one basket, because it's March. It's just not my month. I don't like that month.
Yeah, that's my February. That is literally February. I used to call it, I go into the basement, which is just a term meaning like I just hide
You're
out.
shutting down, you're staying within, and you're protecting.
It just doesn't go good for me in February. Like it's so weird. Like I say that, but it's 100% true. Like I literally have had just about everything that's been catastrophic originate or happen in the month of February.
But see, you're instinctively doing things that should be done. Hey, like with me, March. I don't like March, so I keep my energy even. I sort of stay low profile. Like you said, putting yourself in that basement, if you will, where you're not doing anything to knock over anything inside that goddamn spiritual china shop. So you sort of keep things chill. And that's how I tell people to approach things when you're like, for me, one of my triggers that I hate is when people turn around and blame the universe for certain things. Like, oh, it's like right now, Mars is in retrograde, so blah, 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 blah. No. You just make shitty decisions and just stop trying to get behaviors going if you don't like what's happening right now, and try not to get into confrontations. But a lot of it is about our own behaviors and patterns. If we say like February or March for me is a month with a lot of chaotic patterns happen, then I'm going to keep that chaos to a minimum by not doing things that are going to create more chaos for myself.
All right, so going out, hitting the town, painting it red. Maybe I wait till March.
I definitely wouldn't go skiing in February.
See, but then you run into trouble, kid, because that means you can't take Brian, because now you're in his bad month.
Yeah.
So if Buddy doesn't,
I'm just going to be chilling.
Yeah, if Buddy's an asshole, if April's an asshole to Buddy, now we're not going out till May.
No, April's always good though. That's the thing. No word of a lie. Yeah. Actually, March is really good for me because it starts to warm up. Like March, around here, it starts to warm up. February, there's something about February that's so bleak that it makes even the people around here more miserable. It's
true.
It's
miserable the longest month though, when you think about it too.
February, and we're the biggest little nation, the biggest little state in the nation.
Yeah. And February just never freaking ends. February starts on the 1st. It's supposed to end on the 28th, and it ends sometime mid-March. It's just I'm not a big February fan either, but March is definitely not I definitely don't like March.
Kev, what do you think? You think we just bitching over here? Or you think we got anything
kind of That's how I look at it. I think, I like Brian's sort of approach, and just kind of keep your energy level. Don't make any big decisions, kind of all that. But like, I love February. I'm the other way. Like, I love the fact that it's dark and it's cold and it's bleak. Like, it's a different place. Your mind has to adjust to get through it. I really, really love it, because then you can only get to spring by going through February. And like, when you come out of that,
you can everything only get to the light by going through the dark. And that's one of the things that we celebrate when we look at the winter solstice on the 21st. We're celebrating the end of the dark times and the beginning of the lighter times. And you have to go through the darkness to really enjoy the light.
All right, so here's something funny that I read. They were actually saying how September 21st is is this gigantic day because of how things change and because of all the things that have happened through history on it. That's my birthday, and so is Bill Murray's. So right then and there, I'm good. If I have a birthday on the 21st of September with Bill Murray, I can just shut up now.
I knew.
That's
I
a great
knew you
birthday,
were
right?
Virgo. I'm on September 22nd. I was supposed to be born on
wow.
the 21st, and my cousin was supposed to be born on September 22nd. He was born on the 21st, and I was born on the 22nd.
Yep. Wow.
Mikey.
Wow.
And
21st. They talk about
the
that.
21st is the autumn equinox. That's the time of equal day and night, and that's one of the things that pagans celebrate. That's one of the things that we look at when we look at our calendar, our Sabbath, is the equinoxes are our times of celebration. And for the autumn equinox, it's the time of change. It's the time of reaping what you've sown. It's about the rewards of the harvest, but now it's about preparing and readying for the dark times to come.
All right. Yeah. Hey, look, wait, hold on. This is from Jeff. Buddy, please say cheers. Tim.
We did, Jeff. We already did, but we will again.
Guys, to wrap it up, we hit the hour. I know it went fast, but it did. Kev, what do you got?
No, it went way too fast. What I was hoping to talk to Brian a little bit more about was kind of his experiences with like investigations and that kind of stuff. But maybe we'll have to have you back on to kind of get that stuff. But the tarot stuff was great. I definitely learned more about it. Thank you for the explanation of what the oracle cards are. Those sound like they're probably kind of a little more heavy hitting. That was very interesting to me also. So just want to thank you for the kind of wealth of information and the fact that you answered all the questions. It was kind of very open. I appreciated that.
Oh, thank you,
buddy.
Brian, that was tremendous. I mean, I could go on and on like these guys. I'd love to know more about your adventures in paranormal investigating because that's what I do. I'd love to know about if you have any experiences at maybe at Bridgewater, like I have, or others might have had, or so we're gonna have to totally have you back because there's so many questions that have gone unanswered.
Oh, definitely, and I would love to come back for that because I do have experiences in Bridgewater. I've got two entities that hang out with me on Adams too. One on one side of the building and one on the other side that stays specifically in one room, but crosses back and forth. I've seen shadow figures on that unit quite a lot, but I would be glad to come back to do that and talk more about it.
I'd love to talk to you about that stuff.
All right, buddy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Next week, please stay tuned. Come back on. Anybody who's watching is welcome. We'll be joined by parapsychologist of 42 years experience in the field, Lloyd Auerbach. Lloyd is he's the director of the Office of Paranormal Investigations, president of the Forever Family Foundation, and vice president and on the board of directors for the Rhine Research Center, one of the foremost centers of paranormal research in the country, if not the world. So join us next week for Professor Lloyd Auerbach. I can say that one.
Good job on that name, buddy.
That was an excellent job on that name.
I focused. I tried and I got it right. I'm going to fuck it up next week, but
you probably will.
It's the next week.
Brian, what do you get to plug as far as YouTube channels, stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely check out my YouTube channel, Evolving Vibes. That's going to give you a wealth of information, both with paranormal investigations, but more so with spirituality. And I can always be found at my shop in Fall River that I share space with called The New Moon. It's one shop that umbrellas Evolving Vibes, as well as Performance Chiropractic, as well as Blue Moon Massages. And Trish, who owns the New Moon aspect of the shop, is an esthetician that does these wonderful skincare with Reiki. So I would love it if you guys check out our website there and check out Evolving Vibes on YouTube.
Or it's
right. Sounds good, right? Right,
Yeah.
Kev? You writing all that down, Kev? You getting it all in?
All right, just yep. I just sent
on your floppy disk, your Commodore 64.
there's a YouTube channel for Evolving Vibes right there.
Right.
So
We can play Larry Bird, Dr. J later. All right, let me wrap this bad boy up. Let me see how I can do this. Hold on a second. Actually, you know what, buddy,
Go to bed.
buddy, do the closing. Oh, buddy, do the closing.
For King Mike, for Kev the Genius, for Brian, rest in peace, Tim Jackson. We love you. Legit Paranormal. We're out of here.
Good job, buddy.